Guys, one thing I'm constantly being told by my viewers is Dead by Daylight should have both a ranked and a casual mode in the game. The reason being is that if you want to try hard and sweat a little bit, you go and queue up in the ranked mode. And if you just want to play casually with your friends, you go and queue up in the casual mode. And this idea comes from other games like League of Legends, Valorant, Overwatch, even Apex Legends has ranked and casual modes for their game. And ever since Dead by Daylight had skill-based matchmaking added into the game, I think people have wanted this even more because the idea of DBD having skill-based matchmaking means it's more competitive all of a sudden. Now, I'm going to come straight out the gates and say I actually completely disagree that Dead by Daylight should have both a ranked and a casual mode in the game. Some of the titles I mentioned previously are literal esports titles, and I believe the reasons that they have ranked and casual modes is actually to make their games more marketable to a casual player base so that anyone can come and play their game. Whereas Dead by Daylight has always been marketed towards a casual player base to begin with. So the only incentive of adding a ranked mode would be to gain a more competitive player base, which Dead by Daylight is not designed around. Now, I'm not trying to say that DBD isn't a competitive game. Anyone who's ever said that Dead by Daylight isn't a competitive game needs to look up the dictionary definition of competition. What I'm trying to say is that Dead by Daylight was never designed to be an esports title, and for that reason, it doesn't make sense to have a ranked and a casual mode. Now, I believe, and you can correct me in the comment section if I'm wrong, the main justification for a ranked and casual mode in DBD is essentially so that people who want to take the game less seriously can go and play in the casual mode and not face as many tryhards when they're playing their games. Lots of survivors don't want to go up against a tryharding, tunneling, and camping killer. And lots of killers don't want to go up against a tryharding, deadharding, booning survivor. And so if you take the player base and split them into a ranked and a casual mode, then all the sweaty people are going to play in the ranked mode because they like to try hard, and all the casual people will go and have fun in the casual mode. But that is just such bullshit. I'm sorry, but it is, because not everybody who runs dead hard and boons and borrowed time is trying to sweat for their life. They're probably actually playing fairly casually, just having a good time. And if they don't feel like sweating, they're going to queue up for the casual mode. Not every face camping bubba is sweating their balls off at the moment. It's more likely that they're actually just trying to have a casual game of Dead by Daylight. And when they see a ranked mode and a casual mode, they're going to go into the casual mode because that's what they want, and they're going to do the exact same thing. Yes, some of the sweaties will go play ranked because they want to increase their rank. They want to be whatever the top rank in Dead by Daylight is. But a lot of the player base are actually just trying to have a casual game of DBD, and they're going to go into the casual mode, do the exact same thing, and the main reason for wanting a casual mode will be lost immediately. It is true that ever since skill-based matchmaking was added to DBD, the overall player base has got a little bit more sweaty, a little bit more try-hard. And this is just what happens when players are given a clear win condition. The beauty of Dead by Daylight previously was that the developers were always ambiguous with what is defined as a win in DBD. But they added skill-based matchmaking. Everyone went to work to try and find out what the win conditions were. And then the developers confirmed to increase your skill rating in Dead by Daylight, you either have to get as many kills as you can as killer or escape as survivor, and that's what's considered a win in Dead by Daylight. Defining those win conditions are to blame for the player base increasing in sweatiness, but removing those win conditions isn't going to take that away from their minds, and people who already play for the escape and play for the kill are likely to just do the same thing in a casual mode. And I think one of the problems with a ranked and casual mode in DBD is that it's just so easy to stack the strongest perks as killer or survivor. Perk efficiency in Dead by Daylight has such a large gap between the perks that are going to help you get a win versus the perks that just aren't that useful. There's such a large gap. And yeah, there's some perks in Dead by Daylight that aren't super strong, that feel really good to use, and those are the exceptions to the rule. But if behavior keep creating super strong perks for either role, those perks will always be used more often than not because they're just super efficient and it makes things easy. And no casual mode will ever change that enough that killers stop going up against Dead Hard and survivors stop going up against Noed. Adding a ranked and casual mode to Dead by Daylight is a bit like treating a patient with a gun wound by giving them some aspirin and then sending them on their way. Yeah, a symptom of getting shot is that you're in pain and maybe some aspirin will help with that pain. But if you don't solve the immediate issues, then it's not going to do anything for that person in the long run. Balance is so hard in any game, especially in a 4v1 asymmetric, and as more characters are added to Dead by Daylight with different powers, more perks are added to the game for the survivors and killers to use, it only gets harder for behavior to create a fun and engaging meta. But these things are the systemic issues in DBD, especially perk balance in the game, because at the end of the day, it really doesn't matter what the statistics say if a perk is strong or not. If people perceive it to be unfun to play against, they stop playing the video game. Objective obsession. Fantastic example of this. From a statistical standpoint, people who ran Objective Obsession were more likely to die than people who didn't. So the developers said that there was not an issue with the perk. The reason that people died more often is because the killers facing Objective Obsession were frustrated. So they tunneled the heck out of those object users. They targeted them. And ultimately, they did not have fun playing the game. And I bet right now you can name some perks in DBD that feel very unfun to play against. And those perks might not be a statistical anomaly as far as kills versus escapes is concerned, but you found them unfun to play against. And that's the reason you stopped playing Dead by Daylight last time you booted up the game. Dead by Daylight is already struggling with a ratio problem. Not a L ratio plus your bulb plus your fans watch Oddstarver now, but a discrepancy with how many people play Killer versus how many people play Survivor. It's been leaked that Dead by Daylight is working on a blood point incentive to encourage people to play the role that doesn't have enough players in it. This is the reason that when you queue up for Survivor, it sometimes takes 10 minutes to get a game. But if you queue up as Killer, you get a game instantly. And the issue is based on your matchmaking rating, sometimes it will be the killers that there's not enough of, and sometimes it will be the survivors, and this changes throughout the day. An example of this is if I decide to stream some Killer, 12 p.m. my local time, it will take about 10 minutes for me to get a Killer queue. I can queue up a Survivor and get one instantly, but if I wait 6 hours and queue up at 6 p.m. local time, I actually get a Killer queue really quickly, and it's a Survivor queue that takes forever. The game is constantly fluctuating in ratio of how many people want to play Survivor and Killer. So Behavior are working on a fix to this to try and encourage people to play the role that has the least players in it by giving them an extra blood point incentive. And if you go ahead and split the queues between a ranked and a casual mode, not only are you not going to achieve what you want by trying to get rid of all the people that you dislike playing versus, you're also going to complicate this issue that the ratio of players to Killer and Survivor is constantly fluctuating, and Behavior can't quite make it that there's always 4 survivors to every Killer player. Another thing to consider is based on Steam chart data alone, we can see that the Steam platform has almost dropped 50% of its player base since July 2021. And so with the player base dwindling, do we really want to be splitting our players between a ranked and a casual mode at this point in Dead by Daylight? I mean, I already think that having a ranked and casual mode won't solve the issues that people want to be solved. Let's say it does bring players back into Dead by Daylight. Do we then really want to separate those players between 2 different queues? The obvious consequence being that the queue times for both Kill and Survivor could drastically increase when the player base is separated between 2 different queues, which is why we're unlikely to ever see limited time game modes in Dead by Daylight, such as a 2v8 game mode, because Behavior are already struggling to make 1 Killer to every 4 survivors and encourage that ratio, so further separating their player base is just so complicated and doesn't align with the current goals Behavior have. Anyway, that's my thoughts on why I don't think a ranked mode will contribute to a positive impact for Dead by Daylight. You might disagree, and if you do, I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. Thank you so much for watching. Like the video if you made it all the way to the end, and just double check to see if you're subscribed. I would really appreciate it. Catch you guys in the next video.
Check me out, y'all.